Minors in the United States cannot be sentenced to death, but they may be tried as adults by the age of 17, 16, or even 15 years old. They are tried as adults and can receive life sentences in jail over 100 years of periods of time. These states that allow this happen are Connecticut, New York, and North Carolina, 16 and above. 17 and above consists of Georgia, Illinois, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Texas, and Wisconsin. And 18 and above just consists of the rest of the states. The first execution of a juvenile offender was in 1642 with Thomas Grander in Plymouth Colony, Massachusetts. In the 360 years since that time, a total of approximately 365 persons have been executed for juvenile crimes, consisting 1.8 of roughly 20,000 conformed American executions since 1608. 22 of these executions for juvenile crimes have been imposed since the reinstatement of death penalties in 1976. These 22 recent executions of juvenile offenders make up about 2% of the total executions since 1976. We haven't received any death penalties since the banning in 2005, but we've seen several juveniles going to jail for life since 2005, almost every single year. Do you really think juveniles should go to jail for life, or do you think there should be an alternative? Maybe a second chance. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Escobar, and we're at Jackson High School. We're going to be talking to some students about life sentences and death sentences on minors. All right, let's go.
Justin Bittinger.
All right, so what is your opinion on death sentences and life sentences on minors in Washington?
Death sentences on minors?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bad thing. Like, it's not good. Minors shouldn't be put to death just for something stupid they did as a kid.
How would you feel if you got a life sentence or a death sentence?
I would feel a little scared, to be honest, but I would also want to live out the rest of my life in as much happiness as I could. But since I'm not stupid and I don't do dumb shiz, I would not be sentenced.
All right, cool. Is there anything else you might want to add to this topic or controversy?
That it just should be banned completely. Minors shouldn't be put to death at all because, like I said, if they did something stupid as a kid, it's just not worth it.
What's your name?
Clayton.
What's your last name?
Macaulay.
All right, so what is your opinion on death sentences and life sentences on minors?
On minors, as you probably know, teenagers make really stupid decisions and don't really have the capacity to make the right decision sometimes, and it's not really entirely their fault. They're not like evil people, they're just stupid. I think on adults, depending on the crime, it would be justifiable, but on minors, not really.
How would you feel if you got tried with a death sentence or a life sentence?
Terrified. If the death sentence, I'd be afraid to die, and the life sentence, I'd be terrified because I'd spend the rest of my life behind bars, growing up and growing old and dying behind bars in prison.
Do you know anybody that has been sentenced to life or death in prison?
Not personally, no.
Okay. And do you have anything else to add to this controversy? All right, thank you very much. Hi, what's your first and last name?
Reginald Kumar.
What's your opinion on death sentences and life sentences on minors?
I believe that, assuming that they have done a harsh crime towards someone or something that deserves an actual death sentence or life in prison or whatever, I think that it's a good idea because you can't say to a minor or just because of your age that you're exempt from any crime that you've committed, because in jail usually most of that doesn't matter what crime you've committed, they just give you the time or whatever. Yeah.
All right, that's it. How would you feel if you got the life sentence or death sentence?
I wouldn't be happy about it, but if I deserved it because of the crime I committed, then it would have to be something I have to accept.
Okay, and anything else you want to add to this topic?
No.
All right, thank you. Hi, back again. As you see, students in Jackson High School that we've interviewed did not really feel that was fair for minors to get the life or death sentence. Now we're going to interview some adults, see what their point of view is now that they're over 18. They're adults and they know more responsibility about life. All right, let's get to it. What's your first and last name?
Leslie Moffitt.
And we're here to talk to you today about what is your opinion on this controversy of life and death sentences on minors?
I guess a lot of it depends on the crime. If someone has killed someone else, I think their life has been taken away. I have a hard time with killing someone else for that. I think a worse punishment is actually to have to live your life in jail forever. Now, if you're under 18 and you've committed that crime, I think you need to look at the frame of mind of the child. You know, was it a 17-year-old who was perfectly capable? I don't think if it's the last day they're 17 versus the first day they turn 18, that there should be that big of a difference. But we need to look at people as individuals.
All right, and then how would you feel if one of your children, or maybe even your daughter that just graduated, did something stupid out in the world and was charged with a life or death sentence?
If she truly had committed a horrible act and done something like that, I've always believed in holding my children accountable. I'd never stop loving them. I'd be right by their sides. And if I had even the tiniest bit of doubt that the court or the judge or whatever had been incorrect in their ruling, I'd do everything I could to fight it. Otherwise, I'd be right there by your side because
All right, and
I'd
anything
be
else?
shocked as hell.
Anything else you would want to add to this controversy?
I'd
Or-
love to not ever have to have this conversation because I think if we could, fix our society and have it become less hateful and more supportive of people, so there was no need, or we could eliminate a lot of the reasons people kill people, I think we could stop having a conversation. That would be my dream.
All right, thank you, Ms. Moffitt.
You are welcome.
What's your first and last name?
Mr. Dave Peters.
All right, what's your opinion on death sentences and life sentences of minors?
Death sentences and okay, so I guess without having, I haven't done a lot of research on the minor part of it, but if we're just talking about my opinion on it, I would say that if there's the way our current court system is, I think that if a minor receives a death sentence, I would be expecting that whatever they did, it was extremely egregious, right? And we're not talking just even a significantly violent issue, but it would be like extremely violent, right? I think that we already build in a lot of grace for minors because we recognize that they are not yet adults and they still don't have even the frontal lobes of their brains fully developed yet, which will influence how impulsive they are, the kinds of decisions they make. So the older they get, I think then it's at a point later when they're considered adults, when they make those kinds of decisions, that just as a society we really will hold adults more accountable, but we allow minors opportunities to make mistakes, learn from their mistakes, and grow from that, right? So if someone is getting a death sentence as a minor, it was a big deal. That would be my assumption, right? And so without knowing anything more about this scenario, I would probably tend to trust the judges that have to make those very difficult decisions, that there's a lot more to the story than I would know about. And the juries that help make those decisions too, and they've heard the evidence, and they're coming to that conclusion. That's a pretty significant deal for our society with whatever this person did.
So you're saying it's just based on individual scenarios, on the right judgment of the judge and the jury.
Right.
All right.
So let me just, I guess, give you a quick example. This is one where it gets kind of weird. Some people don't believe in the death penalty at all, right? And I get that. I respect that, but I also, let's say there's a convenience store and you've got a 17-year-old and he's got a hostage. He's got a gun up to her head and he is gonna pull the trigger. He's threatening this. He's already hurt her a little bit or whatever, right? He's threatening he's gonna do this over and over and over again. The snipers all get in position, right? And at some point, just when he starts, I don't know what triggers it, right? But he starts escalating a little more. He's getting really erratic. He's about to pull the trigger, and the snipers take him out, right? They just gave him the death sentence right there. No jury, no time in jail, no time to like let his frontal lobe develop even more. They executed that decision right there, right? To save this lady's life. And he hadn't even killed anybody yet. See what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
He got a death sentence for threatening to kill someone. So, and as a society, we're like cheering the snipers for that, like, oh, good, you saved this person's life, right? And you had to do this, right? It gets really weird, like, when you start thinking about that, right? Like, so you'll have another scenario where some guy does kill lots of people in horrific ways, blows up a building, whatever, and you have people arguing about the death sentence or not, right? We're back to the convenience store one. This guy didn't even actually kill anybody yet, and he got the death penalty in a sense, right? Because someone was protecting this other person.
All right.
So it gets kind of crazy. So anyway, so that's why, I don't know, regardless if it's a minor or not, it kind of, to me, depends on the situation.
Do you have children yourself?
I do.
How would you feel if one of your children made a stupid mistake, let's say in a different dilemma, but like not in the real life? How would you feel as a parent? And we're not talking about principal, we're talking about as a parent role.
Yep.
How would you feel emotionally if one of your children got that
Right.
sentence?
And obviously that's an impossible question because I can't imagine how I would actually feel. But I guess just trying to imagine it, there comes a point where I could imagine having very conflicting feelings. And if I was faced with the evidence and I knew that my kids did whatever it was that they got sentenced for, right? That it's not like they're falsely accused or something like that. But if I knew they actually did it, I saw it happen, and that was the decision that our courts felt like they needed to make, as extremely emotionally, couldn't even wrap my head around it, as sad that would be. I would also at some point have to accept that if, as part of society, if it's going to work for other people, it also has to work for us too. Like, it has to be able to go both ways. And I would just have to, I would accept that part of it, I think, and I would just obviously take probably the rest of my life to figure out how to deal with it. But
Just like before we get going here, anything else you want to add to the opinion of your opinion, or anything else, or you think you're good?
It's obviously a very difficult decision either way, right? If we don't have the death penalty, that's a difficult decision too sometimes, right? Again, like in that little sniper scenario. So you're not going to take it. So you're just going to it'll just happen. He's going to kill this other person then, like, right? Those are very difficult decisions, and I don't know. I don't think I'm wise enough to suggest on that. So these really are just opinions that I have right now.
All right, thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you.
You're welcome.